Thanks for joining us this morning, Dave, for this interview opportunity.
Sure. So, Gabe enjoyed the high school. It's a really good, high quality high school. I think some of my sons will end up going to Ashland High School. But for Gabe, it just wasn't the right fit. It was kind of tedious for him, I think, in a lot of ways. He doesn't make a lot of social connections with his peers. And so, a lot of the great things about going to high school is you get to see all these people that are the same age and have the same interests as you, and you socialize. And for Gabe, a lot of his interests were different or separate from those high schoolers. And he's not intimidated by adults. And so I think it was good that though high school is good that you're the same age and have the same interests, that's also a detriment in a lot of ways. You don't have people that come from maybe different perspectives as much.
Right.
So as while kids in high school might be talking about music that's popular in culture, he might be more associated with like things in history or current events or politics. And
Right.
so I think the great things about high school, he wasn't gaining so much in. So for him, it was just more of a daily struggle of getting there, being there all day. And he wants to be a good student. He is a good student. So it's not like he wasn't doing well at Ashland High School. But I think for him to remain a good student was just so tedious.
Right.
And so now when he gets the chance to go to the community college that's more on his schedule, it's a little bit more concentrated class wise, but at the same time, then you don't have these long days, especially now in front of the screen. He's got 2 or 3 hours of school, and then he can also go into office hours with his instructors. They're much more personable, they're very professional. I think he gets a lot of um, self fulfillment from it. Like he believes now, and he is going to college. And
Right.
so that means a lot to him. And he takes it seriously. It's not just high school and this will end in 4 years. Now he's already preparing for his adult life, which I think he looks forward to. You know,
Yeah.
he's ready to go on to that next stage. And by the time he's at the age where he would have finished high school, he'll have an associate's degree. And to him, not only is that financially beneficial to him because he knows how much money we have for him for college.
Right.
He can see where that benefit is gained now. Now when he goes off to college, one, he's only going to have 2 years left. And two, if he decides to go on to graduate school or some kind of training school, like if he wants to become a pilot or something, which is what he discusses most often, he'll
Right.
still have some money for that with his 529, which is just your basic college fund.
Right.
So not only is he saving on room and board, but he's preparing himself realistically for what college life is really like.
Right.
And now he's going on to college and have even more money than he thought he would originally.
Yeah.
So how much is he saving per year? Well, if in-state college is 25 grand and he's spending 5 a year right now,
Yeah.
well, he's saving 20 grand to
Yeah.
15 to 20 grand every year. At this age, they need so much sleep. I mean,
Right.
it's amazing how he can just sleep and sleep. And he's still going to bed at the right times, 9:30, 10 o'clock. But his body right now, I mean, he's taller than I am. He's gaining weight like I am. I mean, not like I am now. He almost caught up to me in weight, and he's
Right.
only 15. I mean, that body needs rest. And so I see a lot of his teammates because he's still allowed to go to the high school teams, which I also want to hit on.
Yeah.
Um, you see those kids, they're exhausted. They
Yeah.
are so tired. And so how much can you enjoy your day when you already wake up at 6:30, maybe to go to practice or maybe go to the weight room with your team. And
Yeah.
now he's waking up at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. He's getting himself a good breakfast. His body's ready to go as opposed to forcing him up at 6, having him
Yeah.
drag out the door, hoping he eats a piece of toast and some orange juice.
And then expecting them to be awake for class at 8:30 and learn
Yeah,
math.
right? And so you could see, I mean, for me, I don't understand why they have high school kids go to school so early anyways. But
Yeah.
now seeing my kid as a 15-year-old just being able to like look rested. And a well-rested kid mentally is better, physically is better, more of a joy to be around, to be honest with you. The hardest part of having a teenager is a lot of times you're kind of redoing the same discussion you had the day before,
Right.
right? You're talking about why is it important to do the dishes? Why is it important to wake up or go to bed at the same time? And so you're having this regular discussion every day. It's kind of like a daily grind. And the
Yeah.
kid knows it and you know it. And no matter what strategies you use, it's going to be there. Because if you have to wake up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to have a daily discussion of why you need to get up,
Right.
why you need to rise, why you need to eat breakfast. And with community college, he's got more control over his schedule. And he takes so much more pride in the fact that he's not going to high school math, he's now in college math. And his
Right.
peers aren't his peers of his age. They're people of all walks of life. Some are, as old as I am.
Yeah.
And some of them are, you could tell have had a lot of life experience and now are returning back to college. And when people go back to college or go to a community college, I think they have a mutual respect for each other that they're going off to better their life. No matter what life decisions they've made in the past, they're going to come now and they're doing themselves better.
Yeah.
And I think Gabe sees that. He gets to see the perspective of all these different people. Some of them who've made some wrong decisions in life, probably. I have.
Yeah.
You can't get to my age without making a bunch of wrong decisions.
Right.
And so to have that perspective and then to have the pride to know that he can succeed in these classes, that was our only worry was, is he going to be able to handle this curriculum? And since the professors have been so great and we've gotten a lot of guidance on which classes he should take and
Yeah.
shouldn't, I mean, we haven't heard what he shouldn't take, but we've been told what he should take.
Yeah.
And the fact that, they had a big break during Christmas and he can take summer classes and it's only going to be an hour or maybe two. My guess is he's going to want to do that.
Right.
It's a good way to fill your day.
Yeah. In the summertime.
And our only worry about going to community college was because he's a huge baseball player, that he wouldn't be able to play baseball with his high school team. And
Yeah.
as soon as we found out that he was going to be allowed to play high school sports with the high school that he would be attending with all of his teammates he's grown up with, well, then for us it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Because he still has the same coaches, he still has the same teammates. There's all the same guys, except now he's walking out on the field, maybe a little bit more rested, a little bit better fed, not as stressed out about all the homework they have to do. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have homework, but he's had the opportunity to do that homework before practice.
Right.
You have a class from 10 to 12. Well, from 12 to 3, you can start working on your projects. You can go to your office hours online and talk to your professor if you have questions. You're not stuck like in culinary class or a
Right.
gym class. That's not really what he needs. He's already an athlete. He's already getting his exercise,
Yeah.
you know. And we make sure he cooks in our house.
Right.
So
Right.
so in that ways we feel very fortunate. And a lot of these sports, especially now, are sharing fields. So a
Yeah.
lot of these kids aren't coming home till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Then they have to do homework, and then they have to get up again at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, Gabe, if he has a late night, he'll just sleep in a little bit longer and get to class by 10.
Right.
You know, usually I wake him up by 9 and have him do his exercises. Like he either has to lift or he has to go out and ride a bike or run trail, which is another thing he gets to do, right? Like he
Right.
can go off campus and ride his bike for 20 minutes. And, talk about the cheapest form of therapy for a teenager. It's just to like let them run.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned also kind of the homework load and just the academic load in high school, and I just keep seeing and hearing about kids that are in high school that are really stressed about the amount of, first they have like 35 hours a week of seat time, and
Mm.
then they've got another 10 or 15 hours of homework a week above that and their sports. That's a lot of time academically to invest. And what I've noticed with our son and with most of the people that I'm interviewing is that they are spending in community college with a full-time load maybe 20 to 25 hours a week with seat time and homework,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yep.
is about half of what their kind of cohort is spending on seat time and homework in high school.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Is Gabe kind of in there too? He's spending less time than his peers in high school.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just one of the keys is not only are you taking classes that you're generally interested in, that you feel like you should take,
yeah,
but you also get to take them at a pace that you feel comfortable.
yeah,
Because there's more opportunity to take classes throughout the year also. Not only do you take it in fall and spring, but he's going to do fall, spring, maybe some in the summer,
yeah,
and it's spread out that way. And he never feels rushed because his class load, no matter what happens by the time he's 18, is going to fulfill 2 years of college. I mean, how can you can't do better than that in high school, taking a huge amount of load and AP courses and
yeah,
just the pressures of social life, you know. I mean, if he wanted to be more involved in that, I'm sure he could be, but he gets to avoid so much more of just having to socialize
yeah,
with people that he really can't connect to anyways. So I mean, not only are they lacking sleep, right, from having to wake up so early, but so is everybody around them, and
um,
they're all trying to navigate this social life together with lack of sleep and the same amount of pressure and the undeveloped frontal lobe for a boy. I mean, I can't imagine why. Well, you can see why a lot of people still remember high school as not being their favorite time in life, even though it was like 3 4 short years of their life. It was so impactful
yeah,
because so much being developed at that time. And what can you expect when all the people around you literally have the same lack of sleep, are
right,
still trying to navigate it together? No one's really guiding them in that sense. And if Gabe needs to take a break and lay down and take a nap when class is over, before he goes on to practice or before he goes on to homework, he can do that.
yeah,
Like, here, have a big meal at lunch and take a little siesta. I
yeah,
mean, that's what we all should be doing, to be honest with you. But
correct,
especially a body that's developing so much, both physically and mentally, and
yeah,
just, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
he's a much happier child,
yeah,
and you can see it on his face.
yeah. I'm so thrilled to hear that. That's why my wife and I are doing this project is we've seen enough people over the last 13 years of me working at the community college, including your son and my son, thriving to such a greater degree than they were in high school, that it's just important for me as a mental health counselor, talking to people of all ages and having them, as you say, refer back to those high school years and still
Mhm.
work through the trauma of that.
Yeah,
So it's like your wife's an ER doc, and doctors, one of their main rules is do no harm, you know.
right.
So if we can avoid those kind of harmful kind of interactions as a teen, they're just going to thrive so much better as an adult. So,
Mhm, mhm.
yeah. Well, I'm wondering, I'm just kind of looking over my list of questions I was thinking of asking you. I kind of went way off script. Um,
Which
what?
is another great thing about the community college. It's not following that typical script that is supposed to fit the average kid, because there's no script for an average kid. But now to make a script for all the kids of one community and to fit this route, I mean, that's an impossible task to ask for your high school.
It is.
And I'm not
Yeah,
saying that the high school doesn't have like marvelous teachers. They do. And
they do.
I'm not saying they're not doing a great job. They are.
Yeah.
But to expect all the kids to fit that mold is just, I mean, they're
Right.
asking.
And then Orion, our son was saying, wow, the teachers are so much better at the community college. And I said, Orion, I actually don't think they are, for the most part. I think what you're noticing is that they're able to actually teach rather than spend a majority of their energy managing a classroom of 25, 15-year olds.
Mhm.
They so it appears that they're better teachers. I mean, yeah, some of them have PhDs and they're teaching their literature courses and they're passionate, and some of them I think are really super high caliber,
Mhm.
but you know the teachers in the high school are doing a great job. It's just a harder job, I think. you
Oh, yeah.
know
It's a
um
daily grind, and
yeah.
they don't get to go off campus. They're always on campus. And even though they have those 25 to 30 kids, because I taught high school, even though you have those 25 to 30 kids in your class every hour, not all those kids want to be in that classroom.
Yeah.
As opposed to the community college, everybody's invested in that class.
Right.
Everybody wants to be there. They're there by choice. As
Yeah.
opposed to high school, you know, maybe the kid didn't have breakfast that morning because, there was a fight in the house.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just got in a fight the night before and are sleeping at a buddy's house or an uncle's house and they don't have a change of clothes and they're worried about that. Like, not all the kids in the high school want to be there,
Yeah.
and to have to try to teach those kids at the same time you're teaching the other kids who have been well rested and are, to go to the community college and you see everybody in that classroom, that's where they want to be.
Yeah.
That's where they know that's where they want to be, and they know this is where they should be to become better.
Well, I wonder what you might tell, basically other parents that might be considering, an early college path for their teen who's in high school.
Mhm.
Um, what you might tell them, you know?
I would say if it's something they've thought about, that they should at least give it a shot, to give it a try. Because I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They're going to lose us maybe a quarter of high school, and to be honest, they're still going to be on time to graduate.
Yeah.
But my guess is that anyone who's trying it is going to be more than satisfied with what they get. And
Yeah.
their child, they'll see a certain growth in their child that they wouldn't normally get from the high school environment. And that is so much more pride in the classwork that they do, so much more ability to regulate themselves in terms of sleep and eating and financially benefiting from it. The great thing I hope that you guys are able to do is get the word out, because I think there are so many students out there that could really benefit,
Yeah.
not just financially, but I mean, just these 4 years of life, becoming a teenager, from going from a boy into a man that quickly in these process of years, to be able to go to community college during that time, I think would be so much more fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I liked high school. I did. I still have a lot of really good friends from high school. And
Right.
it's not like Gabe's lost those friends. They're still there.
Yeah.
When it's time to hang out on the weekend, that's usually who he associates with.
Yeah.
All of his teammates are still there. He just doesn't have to do the daily grind of the high school.